Today's message is, if you have lost a coin, Jesus will tell you how to get it back. Here you see Peter coming towards Jesus. Jesus said, "Peter, walk on the water and come near to me." Peter was excited and started to walk, but he started sinking because of the heavy winds and the storm. Jesus said, "Why your faith is small? Try it one more time." And these words lifted Peter's faith, and he started coming closer to Jesus by building up his faith and confidence level. And finally he came closer to Jesus, and Jesus embraced him. So whenever we have winds and storms in our life, our faith wavers because our distance from Jesus is far. So we need to have a closer distance with Jesus, and that can only happen through a personal relationship with Jesus. Jesus was preparing Peter for another miracle, and here Jesus asked Peter to go to the seashore, cast a hook, catch a fish, and out of the first fish, you need to open its mouth and get a coin out. Take that coin to Caesar, pay the temple taxes. What belongs to Caesar, give to him. We see that people try to provide investment proofs to government to exempt from tax. They may fool government, but they cannot fool God. God is watching over you, and according to your deeds, He will reward you. So you have to be careful. In the Bible, we see that Jesus used 5 loaves and 2 bread to perform miracle. Jesus uses things that we are familiar with. Jesus doesn't use something out of the box. Jesus used Peter with the things he was familiar with. He was familiar with boat, nets, water, fish, wind, storms. So Jesus used same things to perform miracle. Here we see that they caught so many fish and their nets started to break, because Jesus' miracle will be beyond our imagination. He will give you more than you ask. In another instance in the Old Testament, we see that Elisha instructed a widow to borrow some vessels from her neighbor's home, because she was a poor lady and she had very less utensils at her home. And out of the jar, she had little oil in that jar. So out of the jar, Jesus performed miracle. He asked her to pour oil by using that jar into other vessels, and she started doing that process, and that oil never stopped running. She filled all the vessels with oil. She sold that oil, and out of that money she cleared all her debts, and the remaining money was there for her survival. When Jesus with you, even if you lost your man or your child or your family, you can still survive. Don't be afraid. He will provide for you, and He will make a way for you to live like like God performed a miracle in the Old Testament through Elisha in this widow's life. Here we see that David used 5 stones, and those stones were smooth stones which he picked from the brook, and he targeted the great giant Goliath to hit the stone between his eyes in order to kill Goliath, and he was successful. God used sling and stones David was familiar with. He did not ask David to do something out of the box. He used the same things David was familiar with. So don't be afraid. Your miracle is near with the things that you have in your home. You don't have to go somewhere out to get your miracle. And later on, we see that in the Bible, Jesus instructed Peter to go to the seashore. But it is important to be wise in order to perform what Jesus asks you to do. Just imagine when a fish swallows or suck a gravel or a coin or a piece of metal, and if it stuck inside her mouth, that means that it is a small fish, because if it is a big fish, it will swallow a coin or a gravel and it will go inside her stomach. But Jesus was referring to a small fish, and it is very difficult to catch a small fish with a small hook. We call it as Carolina ring. So if you use a small Carolina ring, then you are able to catch small fish. But if you're not able to use this, then it is hard to catch small fish because it will not fit in their mouth. And the second thing is important over here is we need to use egg sinker. Egg sinker is something called as it is something called as that will kill a fish. It is called as killer. It will kill a fish. So we need to use egg sinker to kill a fish, like David used smooth looking stones he picked out of the brook, and that particular stones resemble these egg sinkers. These egg sinkers plays important role in order to kill your enemy. So you have to be wise enough to make use of it. And God will give you a task, but it is up to you how you perform it. So you have to work on your performance. That is very, very important in your life. And there was another question that was running inside my mind is why there is a coin inside the sea or a river. The reason behind that is Romans, they had practice of tossing coins into the river or oceans because they believe that the gods and the goddesses of the river bodies or the ocean bodies will grant them safe passage, and that's the reason they were tossing coins into the rivers and oceans. And we find in history that we found so many coins in the Dead Sea because in ancient times people tossed coins into the oceans. So there was a probability that this particular fish which Jesus was referring to might have picked one of the coin inside the sea, and that particular coin Jesus used to pay what belongs to Caesar. So the provision was made many years before. Coin was there many years before. But the revelation happened when there was a need. So don't think about you don't have this, you don't have that. Already provision is made. God has already prepared it before you even think. And when the time is right, God will give your coin back which belongs to you. Amen. Have a blessed day.